I am Becky Pringle. I taught 8th grade science for over 30 years. And I can tell you that historically, educators' voices have not been heard. They've been left out of the decision-making process, and they have not been treated as the professionals they are. Last year, I embarked on what I called my Joy, Justice, and Excellence tour across this country, meeting with educators from Kentucky to California, Alabama to Maine, just asking them this question. As you not only survived, but thrived during this pandemic, talk to me a little bit about what you saw in this moment. Talk to me about why so many of you are considering leaving the profession and so many are saying. I just asked them a question and listen. And what they said to me was, Becky, it's all about respect. And when I asked them to unpack what that meant for them, what they said to me was, it was about teacher authority and collective autonomy. It was about them being treated as the professionals they were, with professional pay, with being able to make teaching and learning decisions for their students, to be the leaders that they were. That's what they talked to me about. So when I think about teacher agency and leadership and autonomy, I think back to what educators all over this country talk to me about. And so as at the NEA, the National Education Association, as the largest labor union in this country, what we embark to do is to make sure that we provide that space and that agency for educators to lift up their collective voice. I could talk about a lot of things, but I think I only have a certain amount of time. So I'm going to just talk about 3 that will describe for you why unions are such essential partners in this work. First, let me say that the preamble to the mission of the NEA says that we are education professionals. Our work is fundamental to this nation, and we accept the profound trust that has been placed in us. So when I talk about the things that we have embarked on, it is from that place that I speak. One of the solutions that we have implemented at the NEA is what we call our labor management collaboration. And what we realized is that, when our students have to be able to come to us ready to learn every day. And we can't do that by ourselves in the education system. We know they cannot come ready to learn if they're hungry. They can't come ready to learn if they don't have a place to live. They can't come ready to learn if their parents don't have a job. Those are all the things that impact our students' ability to learn. We have to share that responsibility collectively. And so we knew it was important to ground our work in collaboration, for labor and management to come together to collaborate with our parents and our communities on what our students need and deserve. And so our labor management collaboration program that we have scaled across the country is that attempt to build the systems, the processes, and the structures to not only support collaboration, but to sustain it. The other thing I want to share with you in terms of opportunities is our work on community schools. And this gets at that heart of shared responsibilities and surrounding our students with everything they need to succeed. We have worked really hard to promote community schools, where the school is the hub of the community, and we see and nurture and use the assets of all of our communities so that our students get what they need at that school site. So whether it's mental health needs, or whether they need additional food for their families, or whether they need glasses, or whether they need just that little bit of extra support and mentoring, we are partnering with organizations throughout the community and the school serves as that hub. I am proud to say that the NEA led the way in demanding that our federal government increase its funding, which increased from $75 million to over $368 million invested in community schools. And that is our goal, to build community schools all over this country. Our community schools hold within them the kinds of solutions that our nation, and I know other nations, are struggling to find. From student mental health to academic success, to educator well-being and retention, to providing resources and access and opportunities that we know our students deserve, and educators need to remind this country of the fundamental role that public schools play in our nation, from addressing the inequities fueled by institutional and structural racism in this country and economic inequality, to building a just society for all. In those community schools, we can remove those barriers. The last example I want to give you is something that our educators did in the middle of a pandemic. They helped grow the NEA into the largest supplier of education micro-credentials in the entire country, with over 180 offerings. And we did it for members, by members. So our educators were leading the way, developing these tools and training, from dealing with technology to restorative practices in our schools, to ensuring that our students and that our teachers, and not only our teachers, but our education support professionals, had that additional training that they needed. Our educators in the U.S. are not alone when I say that they are exhausted by standing in every single social system gap that our students have. We all hear about teachers buying supplies for the students. We know that, right? But during the pandemic, the light was shining on the inequities in every one of our systems. And our teachers are the ones who stood in those gaps. I have said for the last 2 years, I have never, ever been prouder to be a teacher than I am in this moment, as I see educators all over this country and around the world. What they did in these 2 years was magnificent. And we together must ensure that they have the respect, that they have the agency, that they have the support, that we lift them up and we thank them for the fundamental role they play in our democratic society. Thank you.